everyone, welcome back to the International Builder Show. My name is Heidi Ellsworth, and the coffee shops are in the Westgate, we are in the Westlake Royal Building Products booth. And you know what? These kind of shows and all these products don't just happen. They happen because people are asking questions. They're asking questions of homeowners, of building owners, of pros. What do you want? What's the next thing? What will make your life easier? And so we are lucky enough to have an expert in research who's been working with the Westlake Group for many years in Grant. Thank you so much for being here today, Grant.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This is great.
I love it. So I would love it if you would introduce yourself and tell us about your company. I find it so fascinating.
Sure. So I'm president of a company called the Farnsworth Group. We are a market research firm that focuses exclusively in the building products, home improvement space.
Love it.
Our job is to help manufacturers make better strategic decisions.
Yeah.
Our paintbrush just happens to be understanding, conducting research, qualitative, quantitative, amongst homeowners, amongst pros, to guide their brand, guide their products, and just their overall market.
You know, it's so important because I think sometimes we don't stop and listen enough. And we kind of know out there, we maybe don't know how to say it, but to have the right people like you with a research firm asking the right questions can bring some great stuff out.
We try. Look,
yeah.
I think, so what's interesting about this industry, not always the most progressive industry, right? So
it's true.
You know, we're not tech, we're not CPG, and there's still a lot of family-started businesses, even still family-owned businesses that are oftentimes operating off of gut, making these decisions. What's been exciting over the last kind of 5-10 years is that I think there is a little bit of a renaissance in building product manufacturers using data to make better decisions. So,
I think so too.
We enjoy it. There's always things to learn by listening to your customers, so we advocate for that on a regular basis.
Even though we're a kind of a slow industry in construction, when you think about it, I mean, forever, right? Forever, the architecture, the beauty, the performance of buildings has always led the way. And 100%. But understanding what those needs are, especially as things change, right? Weather.
Yeah.
Weather. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
There's so much going on.
Disasters.
Absolutely. What are some of the trends that you are seeing from your research?
Yeah, so there's trends we're seeing from the research, there's trends we're seeing from just the fundamentals of the industry. We will look at everything, right? So our value add is not only understanding, you know, our customers' data and doing research for them, but layering on what's happening in the industry as well that may be driving some of those behaviors and some of those attitudes. And so I think you first got to look at the kind of underlying fundamentals as kind of catalyst of why consumers are behaving a certain way, why pros are behaving a certain way. So I think if you understand the fundamentals that we are in a high demand, low supply market.
Yes.
In other words, there's a lot of people that want to do work, there's a lot of people that want to move, there's not a lot of labor to do it, there's not a lot of homes to move into, rates are high, so affordability is low. So there's a lot of headwinds right now with large demand behind it.
Right,
and so that's driving some consumers to behave differently, make decisions in a different way. That then falls onto the contractor. So some of the trends that we're seeing outside of some of the design elements are just budget sensitivities, right? Trying to find ways to meet homeowners where they are by providing, you know, breadth of offering that may hit different price points.
Right.
We're also seeing a trend too, or a need to be more value proposition oriented, right? So if you are going to trade up, and I am going to spend more for that roof, that shingle, siding, why am I spending more? What are the benefits that I'm gaining by trading up? So we're seeing kind of broad stroke right now, this budget sensitivity in the industry. It's impacting consumer decisions, it's impacting the pro. We think that's going to continue throughout this year.
Yeah.
Some of those stalwarts you mentioned though, of quality and beauty, those are remaining, right? But how are we defining quality these days? It's going to differ category by category. When we're thinking about exteriors, we are looking at things about weather resistance, some of those elements, fire resistance, et cetera. So I think it's really important for every brand out there to understand how durability, how some of those broader terms, how quality applies to that category. Those things are still very, very important to the consumer, now layered on with kind of this budget-sensitive mindset that we've been dealing with for the past year or so.
That makes so it's really three-pronged, right? You have budget sensitivity, you have the durability of facing the elements and the weather of what's going on, but people still want their home to look beautiful, right?
Yeah, and they still want to do work on their home. So we look at a lot of data that shows the intent. We ask on a quarterly basis, we partner with the Home Improvement Research Institute, and we're asking thousands of homeowners every quarter, do you want to do something to your home?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
There's a lot of data from recent home buyers that bought, during the height of the pandemic, I bought a home knowing I'm going to do something to it. So the enthusiasm, the desire, the need, again, that demand is really, really high.
Yeah.
It's helping them action against it.
Right.
How do you bring comfort to the consumer, to the homeowner in making that decision? It's a large check.
Yeah, it's a really large
So
check.
when they're thinking about uncertainty in this world right now, which is still pretty pervasive in consumer confidence, how can you as the contractor, how can you as a brand bring them confidence in the decision that no, now is a good time to re-roof, now is a good time to re-side, this is the right product to do it with. So people want to do projects to their home. We need to help them feel comfortable and make it accessible for them to do it.
And it seems to me that a lot of it also, there is the fundamentals of ROI, right? And we had a great conversation about unified steel earlier,
cool.
And about how that's saving money on energy, it's saving money on insurance deductions. So actually, they're starting to see money savings coming back once those installations are done, but they have to be willing to maybe step up just a little bit to see that return.
But the brands also have to prove that return. The contractor has to prove that return. So speak to those terms, right?
Yes.
So I promise the contractors and the brands that are out there, even if the consumer may not be telling you outright that they're thinking about budget, I promise you they are.
Well, yeah, we all do. Yeah.
So own it, right? So be sure you're communicating very, very clearly what those benefits are.
Yeah.
Don't bury that lead. So when we talk about sustainability, when we talk about weather resistance and all these other things, there's oftentimes that ROI that the homeowner's looking for.
Right.
Yeah, I care about the planet and I care about the world, and that's all well and good. But I'm also looking out for number one. So I think if we can hit that on the head a little bit better, I think that'll resonate with a consumer who's already unsure about spending right now, right?
Well, and they're prioritizing.
Oh, 100%.
Right? They're prioritizing. What do I need? What can really take care of my home? And you know, the other thing I see, Grant, and I've seen this for a while, but I think it's more pervasive now than ever, is they don't want to have to redo it again in a couple years because of hail or because of wind or whatever. They want it done, and they want it to work.
So here comes that durability piece again, right? And so I think there's a couple elements. One is the expense to do the work now. Consumers know and homeowners know they're going to have to pay more now than they did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and it's probably not going to get any cheaper anytime soon.
Right.
So if I'm going to make this investment, I need to feel reassured that it's going to be a worthwhile spend.
Yes.
So I think it's a really, really big, important piece that we need to be thinking about, that if they are going to make this investment, we've got to incentivize them because it's going to last a long time. So.
And in talking to some of the other folks today, to your point, one of the things I'm going to take away from this show is they're talking about, you know, people are just staying in their home. They are remodeling. Yeah. This is a remodeling industry now. They aren't looking at moving because of interest rates. I found that really interesting too, and great opportunity for the remodeling industry.
Yeah. We're bullish at the Farnsworth Group on the existing home contractor business.
Yeah.
We see a lot of upside there. We can get into all the population stuff and all this fun stuff. But there's a big incentive for people to stay in their home. We've got really low housing inventories. Right now we're a little over 3 months of existing housing inventory. That's very, very low.
Yeah.
We've been lower for longer over the last couple of years. So, you know, the idea that there's not a lot available to pick from, you've got over half of those that do have a mortgage, over half of them are below 4% mortgages. Mortgage rates aren't coming down anytime soon.
No.
Right? As you look at some of those dynamics that are happening there. So, yeah, there's a pretty big incentive for me to stay put in the house.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to stay put and I'm living a little bit different, I want it to look, I mean, the upside too for the remodeling space is the massive amount of equity that we've got in this country right now.
Yes.
So home values are staying high because of those low inventories, and that's just adding fuel to the equity fire. So again, a lot of good tailwinds we see supporting strong foundation for certainly the existing home kind of larger project activity space. So we're optimistic.
I think one other that I just want to ask you about, one other thing that we're hearing, and it's really in Westlake is showcasing it so well in the booth, is the outdoor living. But it seems like that it's not just the home, but it's like I want to take advantage of all the property around my home and continuing to build that up. What are you seeing there? Same
thing. So when we look at, again, this is some tracking work we do at the Home Improvement Research Institute, so you can find it at HIRI.org. It's a great nonprofit that we manage. Top 3 projects that homeowners want to do, or areas of the home: kitchen and bath, which is always kind of 1 and 2.
Yeah.
That's been around forever. Great return on investment. This is where they spend a lot of time. Number 3 that crept up really during the pandemic is that outdoor space.
Yeah, it's
and
so
it's
cool.
Still up there. So this is the shift that we've seen. Again, people are living differently, thinking about their home differently, trying to maximize all of the space that they have.
Right.
So this outdoor living opportunity, I think, is huge. We are seeing more manufacturers, more categories, finding a way to have a play in this outdoor space. So whether it's pergolas, grills, outdoor kitchens, I mean, plumbing, electrical, I mean, everyone is now
pavers. I know.
Right.
Yeah, it's everything.
Decking. I mean, the decking space has blown up over the last few years. So really good opportunities as we think about those folks staying in their home. How do they get more out of that home?
Right.
That backyard is prime.
Yeah, but I love that. So one last question. As you're working with different manufacturers and stuff, how important it is to have that relationship, that partnership really with a manufacturer like Westlake for your company to really bring out the best and that great information.
So you asked right out of the gate, and maybe we're coming full circle here as far as trends that we're seeing. You know, what are the dynamics that are happening, particularly on the contractor side? This idea of communication, support, service, transparency. If you're a manufacturer, if you're a brand in the building product space, you have to meet the pro where they're at. And we are seeing, just like the consumer, we're seeing more mediums being utilized by the pro than ever before.
Wow.
Email, text, in person when they need in person, phone when they need phone. You've got to be available how they want it, when they want it, when they need it.
Yes.
And as a manufacturer, you have to be communicating very regularly. If you're going to have price increases, tell me out of the gate. Don't hide from it. Help me understand where product is. If I have an issue, solve it. Pros are facing more and more labor challenges, and it's going to get only worse as consumers start doing more and more work. So everything that we can do as a brand, everything that we can do as an industry, as a supplier, to help them gain some efficiencies in their business is going to serve you as the brand very, very well. You're going to gain loyalty. You're going to gain long-time partners just by communicating and supporting their business and helping them.
I love that, and I think it's so true. I also know from the contractor side, they are a loyal bunch, and they want to have that communication, and they want to have those long-term relationships.
If you can hit it, if you can deliver, they are absolutely loyal. But here's what was interesting, though, when we were looking at the pandemic and data coming out of the pandemic and pervasive activity. Pre-pandemic, pros were super loyal, right?
Right.
Wouldn't change their habits.
Right.
Maybe we're doing the same things the same way that their previous generation and their previous generation did. But because of the pandemic, they had no choice but to try new brands, try new suppliers. And they started finding that some of these other brands, some of these other products, these suppliers are as good or better.
Right.
So it's really an even bigger challenge now for any manufacturer to gain that loyalty, because they've had exposure over these last few years. They had no choice.
With the material shortages, they had to.
Think about some of these suppliers, some of these specialty dealers, they weren't deemed essential, they were closed.
Right.
I've got to get product. So this opened up this whole perspective for pros now.
So interesting.
To think about, well, you know, it's really not so bad trying something new. So again, one more new challenge kind of in this new era.
And it all comes down to communication.
You got to nail the fundamentals, do it really well, do it with full transparency.
I love that.
And you've got some great opportunities to not only steal share, but gain that loyalty.
That is, wow, that is great. Okay, please share with everybody, how can they get more information about your company?
Sure.
And also, again, on where they can see some of this research.
Sure. So again, it's the Farnsworth Group. You can go to thefarnsworthgroup.com. We've got a resources page there. We do some free research that we hand out to the industry, so you're welcome to go to thefarnsworthgroup.com/resources. Reach out to myself, our team, anytime. We always love having these conversations, so any way we can help, we will.
You know, Grant, we may need to have you come back on the coffee shop and do another contractor outlook for us.
We've got plenty of data to support it, so happy to chat.
We will do it.
Cool.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here.
This is fun. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all. We've got more coming. We're not done yet.